I just wanted to give you a little hint on putting these together. If you are putting this down and you just can't get it to straighten up, just open this up and cut off a little bit on the side that's higher. Just cut off a little bit more and then try it back until you can get it where it will set up straight and even for you. Okay? That's a little tip on the doing these pockets. I'm almost done and I'll be back with decoration stuff starting. Okay, we have got the book completed to this point. We've got all our pages in and we've done the pockets, okay? And I'm sorry if you can hear my folks and their TV. I'm trying. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the pocket, well, this is a pocket. This is the tunnel that we put on to our hinge. So the tunnel that has the flap with the pockets. On the back side of that, or whatever side you chose to put your flap going, but on the opposite side of the flap, we're worrying about this section now. And this section is, the actual tunnel size was 5 1/4 by 8 1/2. Now I do not want to cover this part of the hinge. I want to keep that so that it looks, you know, solid across in the same pattern. But I do want to cover this entire white portion. So that is going to be the 5 1/4 by 8 1/2. So having said that, I've got the scoreboard out and I've got my hold on one second. Here it is. I've got my, here it is, my sheet. I didn't cut off the end here. Make sure it's a nice squared off piece. There we go. And that was really loud because it was cutting off the perforated section. Okay, so I've got my sheet and I want to make sure that I have the top against the top of this, and we're going to go ahead and score. Now I do want to point out, just so there's no confusion, that this scoreboard, 0 is here, 12 is here. On most scoreboards, like your Score Pals, this is a Stampin' Up! One, the 0 is here and the 12 is here. So it is going to be reversed for you, but the measurements I'm giving you are going to work no matter what scoreboard you're using. Okay, so now on the top piece, we're going to score. Make sure you've got your paper up into the corner and against both railings, whatever it is you have. And the first score mark is 3 1/4. And then the next one is 3 3/8. And then you're going to go over to 8 5/8. Whoops, sorry. And 8 3/4, right. Okay, so that is the first, and again, that was with your top up against this. Now a 90-degree turn. Again, make sure everything is pushed up into against your railings, whichever way it works for you. And the first one is, find it here, 1 5/8 and 1 3/4. And then here is 10 1/4 and 10 3/8. Whoops. Okay. So there we go. And hold on, let me get this out of the way. Okay. So now we're going to fold it Oh, you're going to need a bone folder and scissors for this, by the way. Now we're going to fold on all of the lines to the inside, not the second score line on the outside, just the score line on the inside of this center rectangle, okay? So, and you want to make sure that you're lining things up around the edge and that you're lining those score marks up so everything's going to be nice and straight. Okay? And you're not looking to score too heavy, you know, folding it down too heavy. Okay, get that fold started there, and then flip it around. And make sure everything's lined up. And just give it a little bit of a score. And then you're going to do these little jobbies here. Now we're just doing the one score line on the inside. That is what we're starting with. Okay, and again you want these score lines to match up with what you're folding over. And then last, but certainly not least, get this. Okay, all right, so I'm going to double check what's the top and what's the bottom. So this is my top. I'm going to flip it back over. Now on the bottom, with the wider slots on either side, you're going to cut out both left and right score mark completely. You want the edge to edge. So you're cutting out a good, what is that? Almost 1/8 of an inch. Okay? Yeah, you're cutting out almost 1/8 of an inch. Maybe even a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. And cut it all the way down to the horizontal, the inside horizontal score mark. And do that on both of the bottom section. Make sure you're on the bottom and not the top, because the top has something else done to it. There. Up to the top horizontal score line and snip her off. There we go. Okay, so now you have this. All right. Now this, the top, you're going to cut all the way down to the inside score line and all the way across. And you're going to, again, take out all the score marks. But this time we're taking everything out. We're taking the whole corner, the entire existing corner. Now you can use your cutter for this if you find that easier. I am not very good at getting straight, but I do have a line to follow, so, oops, I do have a line to follow, but I'm still not doing it very well. Okay, and then we're going to do the same on this side. this is what you're going to have. You're going to have 2 corners totally out of the front, and you're just going to have the 2 little sections out of the bottom. All right, so I am going to have to decorate this inside. If you have double-sided paper, you're not going to have to do this. But I am going to cut. Now, we still haven't done anything with the second score line. So before I go into that, let me show you how I do the second score line. I don't try and fold it again. I flip it over. This is the first score line, the inside score line, and then I have the outside score line is, laying right. Let me get a little closer so you can see. I'm sorry, I'm looking up and I can't even see what I'm pointing at. Okay, so the secondary score line, the outside score line, is this 1/8 of an inch up. I know you can't see it, but what I do is I push on this piece of paper. I push on it this way. So I am pushing this way on this paper, and I am making that score line kind of define itself. Now with the foil area, sometimes it's a little harder, but I'm definitely not trying to crinkle this paper up. And I'm not going to use my score tool or anything, and that's it. And that has now, let's see if I can get a good angle, that has now given that a nice fold right there, and there you can see that in between my fingers. That's the 1/8 of an inch. And so we're going to be able to fill this area with picture mats, okay? And of course they'll be able to put a picture on this bottom piece. And these 2, you're not going to do anything with this score line. If it bothers you that you can see the score line, you can put another piece of paper on top. It does not bother me. Or sometimes if it's too noticeable, you can take your score tool with, on both sides of the paper, and you can kind of work it out. It just all depends on the paper as well. But this is just going to get glue on each little side here. I'm not going to do it because I have to decorate the inside, and I'll put it down because this is just going to get glued down on both sides. I'm not going to use any kind of little flaps or gussets or anything. So it's just going to glue it down right on the edge, both sides, and I'll have a little pocket for a long tag. Thinking about journaling for the mats that are in here. But I will do on all of these pieces where I am going to get, now the closer your thumb and your finger gets, I'm holding my fingers are here on the other side of the paper, and the closer I can get to the score line, the less I'm damaging my paper. And I'm just making that score line create itself. And I'm, helping manipulate it a little bit with this. And I find this to be, it makes it a lot nicer. And I'm not doing a bunch of manipulation. I'm just getting it to stand up nice and square. And then if you need to give it a little bit more pinch, go ahead and do it. But again, I'm not using my score tool or anything. I'm going to go ahead and do the inside, and then I'm going to finish with my score marks. And then when I go to put it in my book, I will come back and show you what else I'm going to do to this before then. One other thing is, because this will be in this will be in like this. And then this is what your top will be. Well, let me put this score mark in so that then you can see. And like I said, depending on your paper, this can be easier or it can be harder. The flimsier the paper, the harder it is, I think. Okay, so this is what you'll have, and it'll be in the book. I am going to use a ribbon to tie, but you could totally do decorative borders, yeah, magnets, Velcro, do whatever you want, but I'm going to use ribbon or yeah, that other stuff. Seam binding. There you go. Thank you. I heard some of you. I'm going to use seam binding and tie it. So that's what I'm going to do. But so there you go. And so you'll have 2 pockets here. But again, let me go ahead and decorate this because most of you will have double-sided paper. If not, you'll see how I decorate it. Okay, be back in a minute. Okay, so I went with everything the same. I've glued down this pocket. I just wanted to show you what I did for the pocket. I'm just gluing down from the inner score line because we're not using the outer score line on these pockets. We're just using the one, and we're just flipping it over. Now don't push real hard and squish it out, just kind of hold it so the paper is touching the paper. And then after a second or two, you can start giving a little rubs. And that way you're not squishing all your glue out right away. Okay. All right. So, and I added this little bit so that the pocket, that side didn't look so blank, but as it's closed, it looks like this, and it looks really nice. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, this is not actually seam binding, this is crepe ribbon. It's Creative Impressions, and it's crepe ribbon, so just some stuff I had in my stash. And I think this will be plenty to tie. And one nice thing with the crepe ribbon is it doesn't really, it ravels a little bit, but not like really quickly. So there we go. And then we're just going to have this. Sorry, the parents can't hear each other, so. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so it'll be tied, more or less like this. So on the back side, I'm going to get, here it is. I'm going to take a little bit of score tape. There we go. And let's see. I'm not really good at eyeballing, so I'm going to try and see 4 1/4. Yeah, that's actually right down the center. Yay! Okay, so take the covering off, take that ribbon right over the center of it and push it down. Okay, so now I'm going to untie this, and I'm going to, I don't really know why I untied it, but I did. I'm going to, because this is going to have, lots of ins and outs of getting, let's see where scissors are, right you, okay. Alright. And then this. Yeah, I'd say it'd be easier to leave it tied. Much easier. And this is probably overkill, but then I'm just not worried about it. Not gonna stress over it. Alright. And then on the spots that I didn't get, I am gonna put some glue. Just tossing them puppies off to the side. Woohoo! They're fun to chase down later. Okay, there's that. Let's keep the crepe paper out of there. Yeah, I'd say it was probably much easier if I would have left this tied. Not that I'm truly worried about that ribbon falling out. Let's try and wrap all this up. Come on. Come on. And this is going to be my first page. Make sure you've got it, that you know what's the top. And I've got my pockets here. Yep, so this is the top. And remember, I'm actually trying to cover the entire white part, so I'm going to run that right up that corner. Get out of my own light here. Run right up that corner, and that should get me lined up very nicely. Oh yes. Okay. Now let's flatten that out. Oh, a little smudge there. Okay. And just make sure everything's burnished down really well. Very, very, very nice. And I'm going to come back and do some embellishing and things like that. This young lady is not really frou-frou-y, so that's why you're not seeing a lot of die cutting. And I mean, I am going to use some. I mean, this is a Martha Stewart, what are they, off the edge punch, I think they call them. And I can't remember exactly what it's called. Oops. Okay. Okay. So there we go. There's that first page. And I'm going to clip these off a little bit. Now, like I said, it'll be easier if you have double-sided. I'll have to spend a little more time on that. But anyway, so there's that. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate this and this. And I'm going to do this the same on all three of these that are opposite of the flap with the 3 pockets. So I'm going to do the same thing on those 3. Yeah, and on this one, I'm going to get all my measurements first though. And then I will come back and figure out what we're going to do with these pages, the other half of the hinge part of this page. Okay? All right, guys. Hope you're enjoying this. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think we ought to do with this page. All right, guys. See you later. Bye. Oh, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Bye. Okay, so I have finished decorating, you know, basic decorations. And first I want you to look at how flat. Now I'm not going to be pinching this, I'm just holding it. That is how flat this book is laying. Okay, because I'm very, very careful. One thing is this binding system with this Kathy Orta's Hidden Hinge Plus system, I believe. But I'm doing it a little differently, where I'm not doing all of them in unison. But anyway, so I've got this, and my embellishments are going to hopefully bring things more together, but I am going to put a big pocket on the front here, an expanded pocket, so we'll go over that. And then you saw these pages open up, and then I've got pockets here. So most of this is going to get covered up, so because it is very busy, but most of it's going to be covered up, so not a big deal there. Got more of that gold in, and this is from the Die Cuts with Review paper collection that all this is from. There's some of that in there as well. And then this one is the second one that I did. Pockets here. This opens up so that it'll hold. But this is a double-sided paper, so I didn't have to, even though it's very, 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 very light and neutral, I didn't have to cover it. So a piece of double-sided paper will totally work for you. And then the final page. And then on this page, I want to do a waterfall. And I had this one sheet, which is going the direction that I've used throughout. And I think I was really kind of wanting to have it to use for this front pocket, or have it for tags. And then I also had two sheets like this, which the writing goes this way. Well, there's not a whole lot I'm going to be able to use for that. But I thought putting these together to make the base of the waterfall, nobody's going to hardly see any of this. So that's what I was going to go over with you. And I'm sorry for any background noise. My parents are downstairs watching TV. Okay, so on your scoreboard, now this has to be 6 1/4, my base for my waterfall, and I've already got those cut out, but my base has to be 6 1/4. So I'm putting this using my scoreboard, and then I'm going to lay this at the 6 1/4 mark, and all I've got to do is, and see, I've got about a 1/2 inch actually. So I am going to put a bit of glue right on the edge of this paper and a bit of glue right on the edge of this paper, so that when I put them together, they're going to seal really nicely. Okay. Oh, and that's just a really nice straight line, isn't it? But again, very little of this is going to get seen. So now I'm going to lay it at the 6 1/4 mark. There we go. Make sure it's nice and straight going all the way down. And now you have just made yourself a usable piece of paper out of, you don't want glue on your scoreboard ever, but Okay, so now I've just made myself a usable piece of paper that's 6 1/4, and then it's 8 1/2. Let me see here. 8 1/2. There we go. And then that is ready for maybe put a little pocket just right above the thing and nobody will ever notice it. Okay. So I'm going to get the waterfall on and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've made my base is 6 1/4 by 8 1/2. And then I've got my waterfall pieces are 6 1/4 by 4 3/4, and then on the 6 1/4 side, you know, with the 6 1/4 side up, you're going, no, sorry, with the 4 3/4 side up, you're going to score on a 1/2 inch. All right, so then I'm going to have a 1/4 inch on the top and a 1/4 inch on the bottom left over if everything goes as I have figured it out, mathematically speaking. So now I'm using this grid mark here. Oh, I've got it on metric side. Let's get it on. But any calendar, any one of these mats will do. You know, you just find your 1/4 inch markings on there. This one is, every one of these dotted lines is at a 1/4 inch, so it makes it pretty easy. Okay, so the first one is really the absolute most important one, because then all of the rest of them just get butted up against this and you're good to go. So you want to make sure, and I like using glue for this because I like having a little wiggle room, because sometimes the center of your pieces can lag behind or something and you'll get a little bow. So you want to make sure that the center is in line with everything else. All right, so I have this on its line, so I have the 1/4 inch on both sides, and I have my pieces are cut so that they are going to line up edge to edge. Okay, and there we go. And I want to make sure, like I said, that I'm getting this absolutely straight. When you open it up, if you have it where it bows, then the center is not straight. I've had them where I've flipped them over and they bow in the center and they don't lay down right, and it's because your center either got higher or lower than your ends did. And so that's one reason I like to use glue. So I'm just going to now do all of the rest of these and line them up with the base and make sure that they line up perfectly with the edges. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lay all of these and I'll be right back. Okay, before I get too far ahead of myself, I cut a sheet 6 1/4 by 6. Okay, and I just basically figured out what I was going to want on here, and I think this is a good size for me. Plus I'm going to make this a pocket, so a pocket behind the envelope that we're going to build. Alright, so this again, 6 1/4 by 6. You need one of those for your base. Doesn't matter what it is because nobody's really going to see any of it. Your top needs to be the exact same size. Well, Not really. Okay. It has to be this way. I haven't figured out where I'm gonna, how deep I want this, but I did cut it this way for the exact same size. So 6 1/4 this way. I haven't figured out where I want this to be yet. And you will see when you open up the pocket, the envelope, you will see this, but that's okay. You know, I mean, what I've chosen is all right. I wouldn't choose some purple or something. Anyway, and I'm thinking that I'm going to see it now. Mainly what I'm thinking of, and let me find one so that I can, mainly what I'm thinking of is getting pictures in here. And I want you to be able to grab the pictures, so you need a good inch to grab the pictures. And it's going to rest along the bottom. So, and this is 4 inches, so if I make this a 3-inch, 3 inches, which would be half of the pocket, that would be good. So that's how I'm figuring that. That way I will have a good inch to be able to grab my photos out of there if that's what I would do with it, is put my extra 4x6 photos in there. Okay, so I'm going to cut this down to 3. But what I was doing here was, because it's going to be an accordion pocket, this is the same width. Okay, so this is 6 inches. So this is 6 inches, and I just put it on my scoreboard, and I've done 4 marks, and then I did let's see, 1 2 3 4. I did 1 2 3 4, yeah, so I did 4 marks and 4 marks, and on that, let's see, 1 2 3 4 on this first one, and it's basically what I did was I made 2 of my little hinges right in a row. So here's one of them with the 4 score marks, 2 of which are going to, let's see, how do I want to do this? I want this to be on the outside. Yes, so the 2 end ones will fold this way. And the center one will get folded in. And basically, by having 2 1/4-inch sections, you're going to have, it's going to open up a full 1/2 inch. Okay, and I think that's plenty. And then I can cut these down to 3 inches as well. So I will be able to glue that on there and onto this. All right, so that's all I did with that. You can make 4 marks, cut down the 4th mark, and then make 4 more marks. Whatever is going to work easiest for you. Yeah, I don't need this for anything. I'm going to cut this down. So I'm going to put this over here. Pull my little one out because I can get all of these done. Cut this down to 3. And this should be 3. So actually that's all I needed to make. I've got 2 of them right there. And I'm going to cut this down to 3. Okay. then I'm going to use this piece, and I'm going to make my bottom. Does not need to be, let's see, it needs to be a 1/2 inch, a 1/2 inch, and a 1/2 inch. So a 1/2 inch that'll get glued to the bottom of this, a 1/2 inch that's going to fold over and be the actual bottom of the envelope, and then a 1/2 inch that's going to fold and be glued to this. Okay, so that will give me, and so that is 1.5 inches. All right, and get my scoreboard out. Okay, so, this thing drives me nuts. Okay, so I'm going to get my first 1/2 inch. I want to make sure everything's snug in. I'm going to get my first 1/2 inch in there, and then I'm going to get my second 1/2 inch in there. And then in between, I'm going to go at the 3/4 of an inch and put a score mark in there as well. All right, put this away. Boy, that really needs to get clean, doesn't it? Alrighty then, we'll work on that. Okay, make sure I have this, the 6 1/4. Okay, guess I'm gonna have to put a new blade in there. I tell you, I use my cutter, I don't know, 100 times a day, if not more. I go through blades pretty rapidly. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these glued down. And we do want to snip off, let's see, this one, I think I can snip around the glue. You want to snip off just a little bit on the top, and then put this right to the edge. And it looks like it's a little longer for some unknown reason. And we want that to match up. Very nice. A bit of spilled out glue. I'm just going to take this and snip her off. Okay, so there's that. And then we're going to do the same to this side. So that must have been, that was the part I didn't measure. It was the leftover piece. Okay. So, did I get both of those? No. There. Okay. Put this down here. There we go. Good. Yeah, it's good. Now take the bottom, and we're going to fold the top and the bottom one, and then we're just gonna bend this to the inside. There we go. And there's our
Now this does not actually have to be, this actually would be better to make it a little shorter so that it doesn't interfere. So I'm just going to snip off a little bit and see how we do with this. Because you don't want it to interfere. A little bit more. I'm trying to snip it off so that it will sit right in between the edges of both of those. Let's see. Yeah, so that's pretty good. They overlap just a little bit, but that's okay. It's workable. We take the center two pieces here and just snip them just like this. And that'll just kind of get those out of the way of the inner workings.
Okay, so it just gets those out of the way of these working, so everything can work.
Beautiful together. Okay, so we're going to glue this down to this. So kind of open these up, move them out of the way. And you just want to try and center it and get it out on the end. There we go. Good job. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to attach these outside pieces to the outside of this so that I'm actually covering up as much of this as I can. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do next. I think I'm going to do my sides first, and then that will line up my bottom for me. So I'm going to open this one up and get it out of the way. I'm going to slide this one all the way down to the score mark, but not over the score mark. I'm going to fold these, push these down closed, and just put a little bit of glue and fold this over. There we go. Same with this. Fold it down. I want to keep that one down. Okay. Do I need to... Hold on. There we go. There we go. Got to make sure it's straight along the bottom before you glue it over. Oops. I don't want it going through. Hold on. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to push this back in underneath. And glue this down. Okay. And there we go. So there's a little bit of a pocket there that'll pop out a 1/2 inch. So it can get filled up to that mark. And where's my picture? Now this picture is a little shorter than 6 because I can't remember, at some point I cut it for something. Yeah, see, it's 5 5/8. But the height has not been cut, so there it is, and that gives you nice be able to go in and out. I might end up cutting this down because I don't know that I'm going to want it coming way up from there. So let's see. I'm going to be here. We could probably just cut it right across here.
Hey guys,
I've got, you know, the bottom of part of the envelope. I have decided to leave this full, so I didn't cut this down any. I did, however, make sure that it was square. Okay, I made sure that, you know, it was square this way, and then I cut this piece, and it is 6 1/4 by 5 3/4. Okay, but I've decided that I want to. I have this punch here that does this, and then you can run ribbon through it. But I want it to go down the center. Well, you can't get, you know, you only get that far. So, I mean, that's as far as it goes on a piece of paper. So, I cut a piece that is 6 1/4, and I'm going to tape this down. So that it's nice and square. Oops. Come on now. I think one on each side will be sufficient. Just kind of catching the corner so it doesn't move. And now let's see, there's inch, inch, inch. And then we've got the 1/4. So I'm going to put it just a little offset from center, right about there. And I want to make sure that I've got that straight, because it'll really show if I don't. Oops. Okay. And there we go. And then I'm just going to take my knife, and I'm not going to so much worry about cutting the whole thing out. I'm just going to try and make a straight mark that I can slide ribbon in. I'm probably going to have to make it a little longer than it is to slide the ribbon I want in. But if it puckers a little bit, that would be pretty. So I might just leave it. At least this way I know I'm getting even spots. And you don't really have to remember, you know, worry about too much if it's not straight, because the ribbon's going to puff through. And the fact that it's just a slit, people aren't going to be able to actually see it. And then last one. Okay. I'm gonna keep this template because I might use it in some other spot in the album. So remember, I don't like to have a certain type of element only in one spot, because then it, you know, it kind of looks like it was an afterthought or something. Okay. Get the tape up. Okay. So now, where is my, here it is. Get myself a nice long piece here. Now you have to make sure that this is coming out to hold it closed. So I'm going to put this in first. I think I'm going to make them a little longer because this is, come on, come back out of there. There. Okay, so I'm going to make these a little longer, and I'm going to add a little bit to both sides. Whoop. Whoops, that was too long. Sorry if this is boring. Whoops, that one I cut a little bit. But it'll be alright. Again, the ribbon is going to be okay. Let's see. That should make it a little easier to pull through. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and that should be enough to fit through all of these. I like this crepe ribbon because it's supposed to have a little bit of a wrinkle in it, so you know, as you're working with it, it gets wrinkled, but yet it's not seam binding, which there's nothing wrong with seam binding, but okay, so I'm going to go off camera, and all I'm going to be doing is running this in and out, but you don't need to see the whole process. It's just weaving it in and out, okay? And then so it'll go all the way through and then get caught where I'm gonna glue this to the top. So I'll be back in just a second. I'm also going to make 2 half-inch score marks, ½ inch and then 1 inch across here, and that'll be able to give me where a ½ inch attached to the back, a ½ inch across the top, and then down, and you'll have your closure. Alright, but I'll be back and put it all together. Okay, now probably would have been easier, so just FYI, to have done this before you put the ribbon in. There we go. Get this out of the way. I have snuck in here for a little while. I have to go and feed my puppies, take them for a walk. They want their breakfast this morning, but my parents got the TV on downstairs, so I'm sorry again for background noise, but they're being pretty quiet, so. Okay, so there is the part that's going to attach to the back of this. And then that's going to be our envelope, and then we'll have a piece of ribbon coming out from the bottom. So that's super cute. Now I'm just going to cut this, and I'm going to glue the end down. I mean, you'd have to really maneuver it to get it out of there because it didn't go in super easy, but it wasn't all that hard. And nobody's going to see this back here, but let's knead it up a little bit. Okay. Alright, now let's get glue all along here. And we're going to lay this down. Get it even. Make sure this is even. Okay, this looks like it needs to be brought down just a little bit more. Okay. Okay. And that'll be glued down. And that'll be just fine. Now it's not going to be glued down except for here and here. So that's going to be what's going to keep it squared up. Because then this back portion is going to be a pocket. Alright, so now I'm going to let me go ahead and cut. I'm going to cut a bit off of this so that we'll have plenty to make a bow. And I'm going to need, oh, good. Got another piece right here that I'm going to put along the back side, and we'll just use, no, I don't want to use score tape because this is going to be a pocket. There we go. So let's just do a bit of glue and line this up. Oh, it moved on me. Do a bit of glue and line that up right there. Okay, while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to put score tape on the edges, and then I'll put a bead of glue in between the score tape and where the pocket's actually going to be. Nope. Almost put it across there. Bad girl. Pay attention to what you're doing. Now I put that on wet glue, which is not the best thing to do, so you will want to wait until the glue is dry. But and I still haven't figured out my closure yet. I think I'm going to put an eyelet. So, all right, we'll think about that and I'll be back in just a second. Bye. Okay, one thing I want to change about this is I had just put a 1/2 inch and then a 1/2 inch, but I think it will help maintain the shape better if I put a score mark in the center here. So just like the bottom, the top will be able to squish together without, you know, damaging anything. So, and I think it's totally still possible. It's just making sure you're going to be getting it straight. So let's see what I can do here. Yeah, I can still get it on this one. And let's see. There's 1, 2. We're just going to go right down the center here. Alright. And then I'm just going to kind of pinch this. So that it's just going to help maintain the integrity. So that was it. I think that's gonna, it still looks super nice on the top, but it's got a little crease in it where it's gonna give and take as the book might push it around. So we've got everything in the book done except decorating and putting these in, but I don't know what I'm going to do with the front cover yet. I'm going to have to put this aside until I get pictures. So when you see this, it'll be, she's supposed to be sending me pictures. So it might be a little bit of a wait before you guys get to see like a finished walkthrough of this. So, but I will be putting other things and doing other things, and I won't leave you in the lurch. But if you wanted to make this album for any reason, you have everything you need in order to make it. But I'll show you when I'm all done with it and got it decorated. And first I got to see her pictures and how I'm going to decorate the pages, so because I don't know even what size pictures all she's getting. Okay, all right, guys. Thanks for watching this series, and I hope you like this little quick album. This one really went together really fast. I like this little hinge page system. I don't know. I think that's what I called it. Okay, so thanks again, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.